an iPhone 17 ripoff, and the popularity of the iPhone Air. This is MacVoices. This MacVoices is supported by the Insta360 Go Ultra, the camera that goes everywhere with you. Visit store.insta360.com and the promo code MacVoices to get a free set of sticky tabs. This sort of fits in with this last discussion about China and maybe not. But I brought this for two reasons. This is something that says Xiaomi has the 17 Pro has an iPhone-like design, but with a second display on the back. And so the first point is they can't even come up with a better name than 17 Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, really, guys, come on. And you wonder why we have the attitude we do about China and ripping things off. But the second display on the back, I thought a lot about some of the things Marty has said about he would not unfold a foldable phone a lot of the time. He would just use the display on the back. And so I wanted to see, Marty, you in particular, does it make sense to have a phone that has basically two displays, one on the front, one on the back?
I don't know. I mean, and it might be that culture, that country has a different kind of way of interacting with the interface. For me, with the foldable phones, whether it be the Samsung or whether it be the Pixel Fold, I would do all of my usual business as I do on my iPhone on the closed, singular screen that's on the outside. And then if I wanted something bigger, I would open it up if I wanted more landscape to work on something or to look at something, or to have possibly two windows open while I'm working on it. That's when I'd open the thing up. So I don't understand the advantage of having a screen on putting a screen on the backside of an iPhone. I just don't get it.
I don't either. I found the back tap to be surprisingly useful. But if you put a screen on the back, I'm not sure that you want to be tapping the screen. So I just looked at this and said, all right, for a foldable, maybe it makes sense that you would have one screen that is usable when it's not unfolded, and then the bigger screen when it is. But why would you put two?
The screen that they're demonstrating on the video in this looks like it's the camera bump. And they just put a screen within the camera bump. And the only thing that it's showing is that you can have an analog clock. I mean, that's their animation in it. So maybe it's like a widget screen. I don't know. Or a notification screen. So you lay the face of the phone down and you can still get notifications coming up. But it's, I would be hard pressed to call that a screen, in the same sense that you would call your front screen, your usual screen a screen.
Okay.
It seems sort of, I don't get it, but I also don't understand what the problem with tapping on it. Why do you say, I mean, that's what we do is tap on screens all day. So sure, why not tap on that?
I guess, Jim, my perception just is you're not wrong. I don't think of myself as tapping on my screen now. I touch my screen, but I don't tap it, as opposed to a back tap that I would use. In my case, I have it set to trigger the camera. So,
well, the back tap's kind of different because you're not looking; you're just tapping blindly.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why. I mean, I guess if I'm going to take the phone and turn it around so that I'm looking at this case, the back screen, then it makes a certain amount of sense that I would be touching that screen, not as much
I
tapping.
agree that I don't, this seems like something that engineers are like, hey, we could put a screen on the back. So, I agree that what the heck for, but
Jeff, you said you remember speculating years ago that Apple would do the front back display thing. Why?
Yes.
What was your logic back then? Do you remember?
Well, back then, our iPhones had much smaller screens. And and so what I was envisioning, and there were rumors going around about what Apple was doing with displays. And so in context of all those rumors, I thought, oh, well, it makes sense. This could be one of the things that they're looking at doing. But the idea was you have a small screen on the backside, and it's an info screen. It's not a screen where you're really interacting with anything. So you're getting notifications, other pieces of time sensitive information that you want. Maybe an alert, an appointment is coming up in 10 minutes, or something like that. When you're taking photos with a camera, then people could see a countdown, and like if you're doing the timer thing, so
Or you can frame the photo.
Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, right. You could frame yourself in the photo, and at the time, there were things that we couldn't do that we can today with our iPhones.
But we didn't have always on screens. So
no, but we had e-ink displays.
Right, but what I'm saying is it could make sense to have a screen on the back that had, was like some sort of low power, always on screen, because the front screen couldn't be on all the time. So like you say, for a small area for live updates. But now we don't really need that because we can, they've got the technology to leave the front screen on all the time.
I agree. Years ago, I could make a reasonable argument for why you would put that display there. Today, I cannot.
I think I see where you guys are going, but the back of my phone is the back of my phone, and if I have a main screen on the front, I'm having trouble understanding why I would have widgets on the back.
In the past, because a small widget area could have been an always-on display at a time when that wasn't possible on the main screen.
Okay, all right, that's the always-on part now starts to make sense.
The whole thing with we needed to leave our iPhones face down, and so you would have an information display even while your phone's face down. So there was that, but there was also the thing where at least
we also have watches now.
And we have watches now. Yeah, the watch completely negated the need for that back screen, and we also had. It seems like it was more popular back then to have the wallet style cases for phones, so you could leave your phone closed and still have information. You didn't have to open the case to get whatever alert you were getting, and back then it was your phone would bling at you. And you had to go figure out why with that extra display, which your watch ended up taking care of. Thank you for pointing that out, Jim. That's, that addressed that back then. But we have, our technology has gone down a different path from that years ago. So what Xiaomi's doing here it is a gimmick.
Okay, I'm thinking about the watch comment. That's a really good one. So I already have.
Like we did do the separate screen. We all have one. It's just not attached to the phone.
Yeah,
it's in an actually much more functional location.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And it made meetings bearable because you couldn't be the rude person turning your phone over. All you had to do was glance down at your watch.
Mm-hmm. And then we also detached the speaker and put it in our ear.
Yep.
Web?
I was just the watch is the true solution to this. We have the Apple Watch, and that gives us the information that we need. Because you're right, when I'm sitting in a meeting, I generally have my phone. I use a wallet case. I've talked about that before, and I put it face down because I don't want to be distracted by it. But as we look at this proposed phone with the back screen, it's just another extension of Dynamic Island, I think is what Apple calls it. It just kind of gives quick little pops of just some information through some widget. I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I need it because I do have the Apple Watch, but that's kind of how I'm trying to put this in some kind of context of how it could be useful. It's the same way that Apple does Dynamic Island. I get updated sports scores. Yes, the Kansas City Royals are losing to Seattle 10-1 right now. Thank you, Dynamic Island. So it's not always good news.
This is turning into a sports show on Tuesday nights. I don't quite know what happened here.
You started it.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
Mark
Jeff,
Fucci,
thanks for hanging in there. So
yes.
Hey, I'm here for you, Webb.
Mark Fucci is in the chat. He said, foolishly, I updated to Mac OS 26 before the show, encountered some problems, finally seems to have fixed them. So, Mark, I hope you fixed them too. This is exactly why I have not updated just yet. Oh, Marty, that's an interesting point because I was thinking about that and then lost it.
Yeah, just the idea that Xiaomi has their own watches that they can pair with it. And I'm looking at what's on the screen when I search for them, and a lot of them look like more traditional watches. So, they already have a solution to the problem that they created by putting a screen on the front of the phone. They have a watch that pairs with it for notifications and such.
Marty, you are dancing around something. I can't remember if I said it here or on Dave's show. The phone makers are having to look for gimmicks and I'm using that term loosely, but they have to look for gimmicks right now to find ways to make a new smartphone enticing. We hit a plateau years ago in this product line category, and it doesn't matter what phone manufacturer you're talking about. Those amazing, holy crap, we can do that now, innovations in the smartphone industry, that's behind us, at least for now. And so for years, the only things that phone makers have been able to do to really make their new models stand out is new cameras, better battery life for the general public, and then there's some under the hood things that people like us will have an interest in. So what do you do so that you make your device stand out from all the other better camera, better battery life phones out there? And so now we have a company saying, well, let's put another screen on the back and see what that does. Let's make our phone fold, even though it's going to ruin the screen. Let's see if people go for that.
The new Insta360 Go Ultra, the tiny 4K camera that goes with you everywhere, is supporting today's MacVoices. When you're traveling, size and weight are everything. The difference between capturing a moment and missing it often comes down to whether you bothered to pack the gear, or whether you have it with you at the right moment. That's why the Insta360 Go Ultra is such a game changer. It's a 4K video capturing dynamo that fits right in your pocket, or clips to your shirt, your hat, even your backpack strap, so it's always ready without dragging you down. Despite its tiny footprint, you're not sacrificing quality. With rock-solid stabilization, crisp video, and smart shooting modes, the Go Ultra makes every clip look cinematic, even if you're just walking through a crowded street or hopping on a bike. And setup? There isn't any. One press and you're rolling. Think about it. No fumbling with lenses or digging in your bag. Whether you're exploring a new city, hiking trails, or just documenting everyday adventures, the Go Ultra is the camera you'll actually take with you everywhere. And that's what makes the memories real. Check it out at store.insta360.com, and don't forget to use the promo code MacVoices at checkout for your bonus sticky tabs. The Insta360 Go Ultra, proof that big adventures don't need big cameras. Thanks to Insta360 and the Go Ultra for supporting MacVoices.
Or let's take the battery out of it and call it an Air.
Or let's take the battery out of it, call it an Air, but don't worry, we'll sell you the battery separately so you can stick it on the back.
We're going to circle around to that again. That was a little bit of a surprise, and it seems like the pre-orders for the Air have not been the, oh my God, I can't believe it. And that seems to be, naturally, Apple is doomed because the sales haven't been, oh my God, on the Air. But before, if I, thanks, Jim. But if I were seriously considering an Air, if it met my needs, I think before I pre-ordered it, I would wait and want to see it in the store. I'd want to put it in my hand because it's something brand new. So I'm not as distressed over the lack of an avalanche of pre-orders as maybe some folks are.
I don't think that the Air is for most of us, because for most of us, we're really concerned about battery life and specs and having the greatest processor or the greatest camera. But talk about people that just mosey on into an Apple store on some random Wednesday, November, and they're having to get a new iPhone, and they go and they pick up the Air compared to a Pro. Well, maybe now that's where you're going to start picking up your sales, when people can actually hold it in their hands and see how light it is and so forth. So that's, again, I don't think it's going to be a big seller right now. This is my thesis. But I do think that once people start getting it in their hands and holding it and playing with it and realizing, wow, this is pretty cool, because all they want is a phone. All they want is an iPhone. They got an iPhone, and they're okay with the battery life and the one camera bump in the back. And I think that's probably what's going to happen in this case. I think you have to hold it for really to make it less worthy.
I can't speak to this, but I think it's sort of that in-store reaction people might have had with the MacBook Air. It's sort of, when it was demonstrated and showed on stage, like, oh my God, that's thin. How can that be a computer? Until you go into the store and put your hands on it, you see the possibilities of it.
I agree with both of you. When people touch the phone, they're going to want the phone.
I agree. And this is not iPhone Air 17. This is iPhone Air 1. So it is, the first of many iterations. This is going to be the worst iPhone Air that there ever will be. So as they continue to improve, as they continue to improve the battery life and so forth, it's going to only get better from here. Same thing with the MacBook Air. It was underpowered and overheated, and fans were constantly turning on, but it was the future of laptops. It's the number one seller for Apple, if I understand correctly. So there's no reason to say that the iPhone Air can't do the same thing in time.
Yeah, we need to hear from Brittany, and unfortunately she's not here, nor is she in the chat room. Unless you are, Brittany, you just haven't checked in. Because she was always an advocate for the small phone. And I'm wondering if the Air, even though it's not the small phone form factor, if it's getting closer to something that she would consider a replacement for that market. So
I'm going to speculate she finds this phone incredibly frustrating because it's like so close and yet not, because it has the thinness factor, but the screen is just way too big.
Yeah. I mean, I've got one of the cases for it, and when it arrived, went in the layout and figure out the sizing on it. For me, it's a big phone.
Yeah, it's a big phone.
Mark Fuccio in the chat says, who thinks the iPhone Air is a stepping stone toward a foldable?
Mark has been listening to Marty, I bet. Or at least he's channeling his inner Marty.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I think it's a second phone.
We've got that with the 16E, though. We got that with the E series.
Well, it depends on why you want the second phone. So it's not super heavy. So I'm looking at either an iPad mini or a second phone for reading. So it's a possibility. I want to see one. I want to see what it looks like. But a phone that just sits around waiting for me to sit down and read doesn't actually go anywhere. It's just parked.
That's what an iPad is.
Yeah, but it's too heavy. There's nothing worse than reading too late at night around 2:33 in the morning when you get tired and it falls out of your hand and hits your face. It's unpleasant. I'm hoping the Air is like a soft presence as it brushes past your
So
nose.
all of my
leave a
wishes
bruise.
for you have come. All of my wishes for you have come true. Getting hit in the face with an iPad.
I've done that.
Yeah. And the
Jim,
iPad
why
Pro
would you
really
hit Eric
hurts.
in the face with an iPad.
But I wouldn't say it's the worst thing ever.
No, a bag of nickels is much worse.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah, I mean the iPhone Air. There's a lot of chatter about it. Is it the entry to potentially Apple coming up with a foldable phone? They've got it down this thin. Is that their next step after this? Did they come up with this iPhone Air just for that reason? We don't know, but I think it's a possibility. It looks intriguing. I already have been buying way too many extra phones as it is, so I'm not going anywhere near it. But that, even with the 16E is a very good entry level phone. But I mean, I will be interested to hear what your review is of it, Marty, when you get it, because and I'm hoping when I go to the store on this coming Friday to pick up my 17 Pro Max, I'll get to at least put my hands on the Air and see how it is.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.